Kendall, just your overall thoughts about the match tonight.
Disappointing. I think that there isn't a ton to say necessarily. But yeah, I feel like it should have been 3 points, and can't really skirt around that in any way. So I think it's disappointing.
Obviously, teams go through a little bit of a struggle right now.
Mm-hmm.
What about tonight's match makes it the most disappointing? I mean, Juan said it, Coach said it. What is it about tonight?
Whew.
You got time.
I think one, offensively we've been working to get this result, I think, and today they put 2 in at home, and I think that what's frustrating to me is that in my head, that's like what in my heart, like I wanted, you know, and I think that I was so happy to see us score twice. It was a weight off the strikers, I think. It was a weight off our offense. I think our offense was good, put them under pressure, kept us from being under pressure a lot of the game, and they were dangerous. So I think what's really disappointing to me is that in a night where we should be kind of lauding the offense for their great work, we're talking about how we didn't come through with 3 points here. And I think that that's the disappointing part, because those guys have been working really, really hard up there, and you can see it. You can see it every day in training, and you can see it in the games. They're killing themselves to score goals, and they scored goals today. And so it's a tough one, because I'm really proud of those guys for their work, and they got their results today, and we got to back them. And when they do that, we gotta shut it down a little bit so we can have the headlines be about them and not about other things.
In my sense, tonight came down to a couple of things. Balls are going in,
Mm-hmm.
but there was no one on the receiving end of those, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, what did you see? This is a two-part question, so you can answer both.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see on the penalty? Because you're literally right there. Not necessarily the penalty shot, but the actual penalty. Did you see anything there?
So first part of the question, I play goalkeeper, so
Yeah.
so it's not my place to discuss stuff on the offensive end. Those guys work hard. That's their specialty, and I respect that, and I respect them. So it's not my place to talk about what goes on up there. Again, they scored twice, and they did their job today, and I'm happy for them. And all the other things are kind of erroneous. They scored twice, you know, so there isn't much more to be said about that. It's also not necessarily my place to talk about the refereeing calls, so I'm not going to talk about that either. And really, you can't put blame on others. I think that we gotta take extreme ownership of everything that happens on the field. You are your product on the field. So one call shouldn't undo us. One play shouldn't undo us. We got to take really extreme ownership of everything that goes on out there. So I wouldn't even mention the refs in the outcome of this. We gotta take more ownership of what's going on.
Okay, so let me ask you something hopefully you can comment on, which is, unfortunately, this team has a trend of going up a man and losing, dating back to last season. I'm saying that because I know you're new.
Yeah.
Juan mentioned, quoting him, not directly quoting him, but like paraphrasing, you know, the guys seem lackadaisical, they didn't really seem like when the ball was out, they were kind of like trotting
Mhm.
to go throw it in.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of that?
I think I'm not an excuses guy, so I think that has to be remedied if that's going on. And obviously, I'm in goal. I'm trying to organize. I'm trying to kind of do a lot of preventative stuff. So some of the things that you're talking about aren't in the forefront of my mind. But we do need to raise the intensity, I think, all around. And if we're not feeling that way, it needs to be a bit of a wake-up call, because this is it's disappointing again, and we talk about mentality monsters. I want my name attached to that, and I think that things like tonight don't necessarily correlate to being given that moniker. So I think that we need to make some adjustments from a mentality standpoint so that we can take ownership of that title. And I think that maybe right now we aren't living up to that standard. And I think that we really need to fix that.
So that leads into my last question, which is, I'm pretty sure you're frustrated, and I would bet my salary that 90% or your whole team is frustrated in that locker room right now.
Sure.
So does a loss like this, even though it stings and it's frustrating, can it be motivating for you to come out here next week and try to right those wrongs, to do that extra, I guess, so quote unquote effort to get those 3 points?
Yeah, of course. I think that that's a really good way to look at it. I think that each guy is going to be extraordinarily motivated and extraordinarily inwardly focused on executing their tasks and focusing on each individual piece, so that we can kind of avoid the red weddings, And I think that the more, again, ownership that we take individually on the field, the better off we'll be, and the better position we'll put ourselves this upcoming week and for the rest of the season to get the points. Like we can't look around at anybody else. We really gotta kind of head down, look inward. Shawnee talks about it all the time. The answer is not outside. The answer is inside, and I think that we hear him say it, but we really gotta internalize it.
You guys are at the halfway point of the season. How would you kind of sum up the first half, and is there anything from the first half that y'all can take and build on for the second half?
I'd say it's been turbulent. There's definitely some positives that we can take, and there's definitely some really good performances that we've had individually and collectively. And I think that the positive thing from that is that we have guys individually that can take over games. And we have guys individually that can win games, like almost on their own. And positives from that are that we got games that we can win coming up, And each game we got to look at it that way. It's like, this game we can win. And so I think moving forward into this second half of the season, we gotta, again, my word for tonight is ownership. Like each guy individually on that field can do a lot and can be a really big influence on the end result. But we gotta kind of all do it at the same time. And I think that will kind of carry us over this line, because doing it individually has got us kind of turbulent results. And I think that we just collectively need to have those moments at the same time, And I think once we hit that, kind of break that seal and gain that momentum, we can really do some things. But we gotta change the momentum. We're kind of, there's a lot of inertia against us right now, and we got to stop that ball and get it rolling the other way. And we just got to focus on that. Take it inward, focus on that.